Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, The Benefits of Going Above and Beyond USPS Address Hygiene. This is the latest in an ongoing series of informational webinars from Anchor Software. My name is Wallace Vingelis, and I'm an account exec here at Anchor. Joining me today is Cindy Prado, Senior Tech Support and Professional Service Rep here at Anchor. Say hi to everybody, Cindy.
Welcome, everyone.
Woo, that's a little bit loud. I don't know about you down in Plano, Cindy, but I woke up this morning. It was snowing like crazy here just outside DC, but now it's sunny and warm, and I guess everything's moved up the coast. So anyone from the Northeast, I hope you're warm and safe, and everything goes well this afternoon. So
I'll try to tone it down. I know I'm from Texas, and everything is louder and bigger in Texas.
Amen. There you go. Today's webinar is going to discuss how we all know and recognize how important using things like CAS and NCOA link software can be to getting your mail delivered to the intended recipient and to keeping your databases up to date. But what we really want to focus on today are the things that go above and beyond those tried and true USPS programs and can add several percentage points lift to your address hygiene and move update results, particularly several programs and services that Anchor has to offer. Now, Cindy's going to go over some of our standard housekeeping stuff and tell you just a little bit about Anchor.
Hello, everyone. While you're logged into the webinar, wanted to let you know you were automatically placed in mute mode, which simply helps cut down on the background noise. Before we start with the gist of the presentation, we'd like to go over very quickly the controls at the bottom of your screen. The first button is the one with a question mark. This allows you to ask a question about the content of our webinar. We'll be responding to all questions at the end of the presentation. The second button with the vertical bars is the poll button. We aren't using any polls in this webinar, so you won't need to use that today. The next button is the smiley face and the hand. It's used to express emojis during the webinar. Feel free to express how much you're enjoying the show at any time. The fourth button opens your settings. And the last red button is for when you're ready to leave the presentation. Now, tell you a little bit about Anchor. Anchor was founded in 1998. We have over 1,500 product installs and over 65 software products. We provide software solutions for data quality, postal compliance, mail processing, and document design. We actively engage in shaping our industry through participation in leaderships and DTAC, MSMA, AMI, and numerous PCCs. We provide 24 hours, 7 days a week technical support.
Well, sorry about that. Got ahead of myself, but please keep in mind that for proprietary and confidentiality reasons, some questions may not be addressed in public. However, those questions will be answered privately offline. One last note, this webinar is being recorded and will be made available for viewing or reviewing on our website sometime in the next few days. I know Pete does a real good job on getting that out there. We may even see it out there later today. You never know. So as mentioned earlier, today's webinar will discuss the benefits of going above and beyond USPS address hygiene and some of the solutions and services Anchor has to offer to help you reap those benefits. Today's webinar also includes a quick introduction to the new Anchor Gateway and how easy it makes accessing a few of those solutions for our customers. At the end, we're going to open up the floor to any of the questions you might have. With that, let's go ahead and jump in. For years, many of us have known that running our data through USPS address hygiene products like CAS and NCOA link certified software is not only beneficial, but mandatory if you want to qualify for those all important automation pre sort discounts. Nowadays, though, that's just simply not enough. So, before we look at what the industry has to offer, we're going to do a quick review of what we're all doing today. The first thing we do is run our data through a CAS certified solution like MaxCAS OS or MaxCAS Plus. This allows us to validate, correct, and standardize our addresses while including things like DPV, LaxLink, and SweetLink. Then we also run our files through a USPS certified interface for NCOA link like Anchor's Max Mover.
Delivery point validation, or DPV, has been has long been a required part of your address validation set. Sorry, I was stepping over my tongue. Not only does it tell you if the address is valid and deliverable, it also tells you important information about the secondary portion of the address, like if the apartment number on the address is valid for that house or building number, or if you're missing the secondary information completely. We'll refer back to this a little later when we look at one of the above and beyond solutions. A couple of other processes within your address validation step are LaxLink and SweetLink. In short, LaxLink converts an address like rural route box 10 to a street style address like 123 Main Street. And SweetLink can help correct or append suite information for company records in your data.
Something else available from the Postal Service is ACS, or the Address Correction Service. This is a post mailing service that relies on workforce knowledge to provide further corrections or updates to addresses that may not be made by the data processing systems. This additional data is available because the mail carriers have that, boots on the ground intelligence about things that may not make it into those other systems. That's that workforce knowledge we referred to just a minute ago. And the last things we'll talk about from the USPS are AEC and AEC2. Both of these are post mailing services that can help modify or correct address elements, and both use computerized systems with USPS specific knowledge and logic, I'm sorry, USPS specific logic and algorithms to try and correct elements of the address. AEC2, however, goes a step further than AEC by incorporating that delivery force knowledge at the individual delivery units of those problem addresses.
Now let's talk about what we can take advantage of that's commercially available in the mailing industry. There are a number of value-added services that incorporate consumer data into the process of verifying, correcting, updating, and enhancing addresses. Today, we're going to talk about processes for additional address enhancement, appending apartment numbers, matching against a proprietary change of address database, and a system to verify the combination of name and address. We're also going to look at additional suppression system for deceased individuals, as well as people who may be in prison. Now, before we go further, I'm going to answer your initial question with a yes. All of these value-added services are available through Anchor software and Anchor computer.
Cindy, you can tell it's been a while for us having not done with these. We're both kind of stepping on our own tongues a little bit here and there.
Yes, sorry about that.
That's live TV for you. So
true.
All right, so the first above and beyond service we're going to look at today is address enhancement, or in Anchor's terms, the Address Enhancement Plus system. This solution uses a proprietary methodology that compares the first name, last name, the incomplete address, and zip code against our Megabase consumer file. And when a match is found, we correct the address and provide any missing apartment or suite numbers. It can also add missing rural route box numbers to your file. The lift we generally see from this process is in the 1 to 2% range. But when you do the math, that adds up to a lot of additional valid addresses in your file.
The next service we're going to look at is the proprietary change of address solution. At Anchor, we call that Max COA. What we've all learned over the years, and you may even be guilty of ourselves, is that not everyone tells the post office when they move. But a lot of these people do tell their magazine publishers, their credit card companies, places they like to shop, and of course, their utilities and cell phone servicers. Anchor's Max COA has a database that contains over 2 billion records and up to 60 months of address changes that go beyond the USPS 48-month database and usually generate match rates from anywhere from 0.5% to up to 2%.
So let's face it, mailing to deceased people can be both insensitive and inefficient. And I know this just from my own experience. Uh, Earlier last year, my dad passed away. My mom is still getting stuff in the mail addressed to him, and she does not appreciate it, so to speak. So I know firsthand on that. So the third above and beyond service we're going to discuss is the suppression of deceased individuals from your file. At Anchor, we call this the deceased suppression system. The database for the solution is probably the largest and most comprehensive file available and is compiled from several public and proprietary sources. The most notable of those being the Social Security Administration. The database contains over 55 million names and is updated quarterly. From this process, we generally see suppression rates of anywhere from 1 to 6%. Some other suppression processing available from Anchor include inmate suppression if you don't want to mail to someone in prison, profanity suppression to remove any records that contain profanity, and then other things like nursing homes, trailer parks, people who may be 85 and older, and certainly a lot more.
So you've validated and corrected the address. You've corrected or appended the apartment numbers. You've run postal service and proprietary change of address processes. You've run through a series of suppression steps, but how can you be sure that that person still lives at that address? Run Anchor's Name and Address Verify service. This solution has a database of over 2 billion names and addresses and can verify with a high degree of accuracy if that person does indeed still live at that address. And this is the last step in saving everything you can in postage and production costs.
Well, we've now come to that point in the webinar I told you about earlier, where Cindy is going to talk a little bit about and show you, as you can see here on the screen, the brand new Anchor Gateway and how it seamlessly connects our software solutions with some of those above and beyond solutions from Anchor Computer that we've already discussed.
Thank you, Wallace. Here shown is our Anchor Gateway UI, where you can select a service such as DSF Squared or Max COA, as well as other services listed below by simply selecting the on or off switch, then selecting the Run button. This file can be processed by our sister company, Anchor Computer, and sent directly back to you.
So you say this is the screen from our MaxCast solution, right, Cindy?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So then people can take this and when they set this up, it'll run through MaxCast to do all the address hygiene, address correction, and so forth. But then if they want to, let's say they want to run that um, address enhancement with apartment append, they would have had to they turn that on in this interface. And what happens is when the job's done, it will then go across the wire to our services branch, Anchor Computer. The process will run there. Apartments will get corrected or appended, and then their data comes back to them. Right?
That is 100% correct. And
Okay.
since it's a part of our MaxCast, they don't need to run a separate program. They can just run it in addition to.
Right. Right. That's awesome. I mean, that saves all the manual intervention of having to, you know, get the file off your system, upload it directly to Anchor Computer, and then the file runs and then comes back. All that's automated now, and that's a, that's just a beautiful thing.
I agree.
All right, so as we get ready to wrap things up today, let's just take a quick look at what we think can be a great way to make sure you're mailing to the intended recipient at the place they currently live. So the first thing, of course, you're going to run through CAS certified software, and that includes the DPV, the Lax Link, and the Suite Link. And you're going to want to use something like MaxCast OS or MaxCast Plus. Then you can run it through one of those products from the Postal Service that takes advantage of that delivery force knowledge, like AEC and or AEC2. Then the next step we'd say is enhance your addresses by using the Address Enhancement Plus system with the apartment append. Now that you've got all those addresses corrected, they're in the right format, you got the right apartment numbers, then you're going to run through a move update process using Max Mover. And with NCUA Link, you can either use the 18-month database or go to a full service provider to do the 48-month. What we like to tell people is, run that 48-month once a year, get everything you can, and then run it through NCUA Link on an ongoing basis just to keep everything current. Then, of course, you want to enlist the help of a proprietary change of address system, and that would be Max COA. And then a couple of the last things you want to do before going out the door with your mail is suppress those additional records. Get rid of the deceased, get rid of people who may be incarcerated, a number of different other things that are available to you. And then the last thing you want to do is run through that name and address verify system to make sure that that person is still living at that address. Crucial component right there. All right, so we have hit the end. I don't know if we promised you this up front, but I should have told you you wouldn't be here all day with us. So we just wanted to, take a little chunk out of your day to talk about those solutions that go above and beyond what we've all done for years with just USPS address hygiene products. So if you have questions, please go ahead and submit them. I'm going to switch over to the Q&A area and take a look at what we have here. We'll give people out. Here comes one. All right. Cindy, I'm going to let you take this one. Let me go ahead and read it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Earlier during the presentation, you mentioned MaxCast OS and MaxCast Plus. Can you tell me what the differences are?
Speed. MaxCast OS processes millions to tens of millions of records per hour. MaxCast Plus processes hundreds of millions of records per hour.
Oof, that is definitely fast.
Yes. Great speed, great speed.
Let's
Oh,
see.
I see another great question, Wallace.
Okay.
This one was directed more at what you were talking about. Are there additional
Hmm.
costs to AEC and AEC2?
Oh, that is a good question. And good thing I looked that up when I was doing this. Hang on, let me go to my notes. Oh, here we go. Okay. AEC has a per record cost of 3.3 cents with a minimum charge of $33 per job. And then AEC2 structured just a little bit differently. AEC2 has a minimum charge of $48 for any file up to 100 records, and then a per record cost of 48 cents a piece for each record over 100. So AEC is 3.3 cents a piece, minimum charge $33. AEC2, minimum charge of $48 for up to 100, and then 48 cents a piece for each record over 100. There we go.
That's great information. It doesn't seem like it would be very costly, which would be a great added service.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm also glad I looked that up while I was doing my research. So, all right, we got a third question that rolled in. This you referred to a couple of times, just not tying the two, but this will help tie together. So, the question is, how big is that mega-based consumer file you talked about?
That's a great question, Wallace. The mega base consumer file that contains over 2 billion records. I believe I was talking about that in one of my slides.
I think a couple of them, but yeah,
Yes, you're correct.
that is a huge file, and I know that's
Huge.
composed
2
or
billion, yes.
yeah, right, comprises a number of different consumer databases that it kind of get all mashed together, and that's how we can combine and do research on the combination of name and address to do I think it's the apartment append, and then of course the name and address verify system. So it's a lot to work from. All right, we'll give it another minute and see if anything else comes in. Let me switch around here and see what there. I don't see anything else coming in, so let's go ahead and wrap things up. So we want to thank you all for joining us today. Um, those of you who are current customers, be on the lookout inside your MaxCast, whether it's OS or MaxCast Plus. Take a look for that Anchor Gateway, and customers or not. If we're in the process right now. I've got a couple of people doing benchmarks on some of these services. So if you're a customer and you'd like to run a benchmark of any of these additional services, just get in contact with your account exec. I know I work with Anthony Aroldas and Fred Serkey. So get a hold of one of the three of us, and we could get something set up for you. Cindy, I want to thank you for working with me today. It's been a number of years since I did one of these, so having a veteran like yourself hold my hand during this process was quite comforting. But yeah, thank you for your help on this today.
You did a great job, Wallace.
That's And then for everyone out there, again, I know it's depending on where you are, there's some tricky weather. So as you drive home today, be careful, be safe. Um, for those of you who celebrate Mardi Gras, today is Fat Tuesday. So a happy Fat Tuesday and happy Mardi Gras. And then for the rest of you, or all of you, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so have a happy Valentine's Day. And now we will go ahead and wrap up. Again, thanks for coming out, and we'll let you know when we're going to do another one of these. Should be sometime in the very near future. Take care, everyone. See you all
Bye.
soon.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone.